Everyone. So it's been about 6 months since Avanti announced that Cherwell was going to be sunset at the end of 2026. So Cherwell's going away. So what do we do? Well, thing number one, definitely get a copy of your data and make a plan to get a copy of your data from Avanti if you're hosted. Obviously, if you're on premises, you have access to your data and you don't have to worry as much about this. But if you're hosted, make a plan to get a copy of your data from Avanti right at the end of whenever you're going to be using Cherwell. Definitely think ahead of the game. Don't wait till the last minute if you're going to use Cherwell up until that end of life date at the end of 2026. Um, don't plan on getting the data, December 31st. Make sure you get it at least a month ahead of time, just in case everybody else is trying to do the same thing and they've got a backlog of requests. So, next thing is you're going to move from Cherwell to another system. That's great. But what about all the data that you had in Cherwell? Um, what are you going to do with it? Well, first off, why would you need access to that historical data? Typically, it's what I've heard is one of three reasons. So you need either access to previous incidents from the same customers that you're interacting with, um, that you're not going to carry over into the new system or not going to try to migrate into the new system. Um, some companies use incidents as kind of an internal knowledge base, right? Creating a knowledge base, curating a knowledge base is time consuming and expensive. Um, and sometimes just searching for past incidents is just as good, if not better, than trying to curate a knowledge base. And then the final reason that I've heard is data retention for audit or compliance, legal requests. If you're using Cherwell for HR, there might be things that come up where you need specific records from an employee from the time you were using Cherwell, and you need to have access to that information. So, what options do you have to keep access to this data? Uh, in the past, you may have just kept a few licenses around to whatever system you were moving off of as you moved on to a new system. Obviously, with Cherwell, that's not going to be a possibility. At the end of 2026, Cherwell goes away, and you don't have licenses. Even if you're on-prem, you won't be able to use Cherwell after that. If you're on-prem, you'll have access to the data. That's just fine, but you won't actually be able to use the Cherwell application. Um, so you need to find something else to do. And that kind of leaves two traditional options. Obviously, this video is all about giving you a third, but the two traditional options are you can either export your data from Cherwell or from SQL Server and then try to import it into whatever system you're going to, be it ServiceNow or Avanti, Neurons or Easy Vista, Halo ITSM, wherever, right? Either the same incident tables as you're going to be working your day-to-day operations in, or some sort of table on the side that's like historical incident or something like that. You may have even done something similar to that when you went on to Cherwell, when you came onto Cherwell. And the other option is just leave all the data in SQL Server and use something like SSRS that comes with SQL Server. Or if you want to do something a little more advanced, you can do Power BI, Tableau, another reporting or business intelligence tool of your choice. Um, Obviously, those options come with it a little bit of baggage. Both of those options, right? Because if you're exporting data, you have to get the data into a format that's fairly um, record oriented. One record per atomic chunk, whatever that means for you, be it HR case or incident. And then you have to worry about journal entries and attachments, right? And in Cherwell, relationships can be really complex. It's not just as simple as creating a join table or a foreign key. It can be as simple, but it's not always. Um, and then attachments are kind of their own animal, right? Attachments are difficult in any system, and Cherwell is certainly no exception there. Cherwell also is extremely denormalized. Um, so you might see relationships from one table to another, and also that data in, say, the incident table. And maybe that actually helps the export, but maybe it's a little confusing. And understanding where Cherwell is coming from uh, can go a long way toward making sure that you're actually getting the right data when you either export or report on it. And then there's also, missing data, right? Data is messy. Um, and depending on how you're doing the import and export or the reporting, well, you don't get any assistance in trying to figure out what is intentionally missing and what that should be. If it is missing, you you have to do all that logic basically again, right? You've built it once in Cherwell, and now you have to do it again in a reporting tool or to export and import and that sort of thing. Um, and of course, all of this takes time and energy. Even if it's not you doing the work, it might be, professional services or an implementation partner, something like that. But now you're paying for that time, and that's no fun, right? You'd rather be paying for the implementation time of building out your new process in the new system, not dealing with historical data. So I promise it's not all doom and gloom. There is hope. In this video, as we get a little bit further, I'll actually demo something that I've built called Cortex that solves all of these problems. And the best part about it, I'm not going to save the best for last. The best part about it is that you don't have to do anything to your data. Nothing needs to change in your data. You can leave it in SQL Server. You don't have to export it. You don't have to make any modifications to it. Just leave it where it is. If you want to create a new SQL Server and do a backup and restore, that's totally fine, but that's up to you. I actually have Cortex running very successfully on literally the same database that I've installed Cherwell to. So I have Cherwell talking to a SQL server, and then I have Cortex talking to exactly the same SQL server, exactly the same database, using all the same tables and showing the same data. I actually have a few videos on this channel from a few weeks back where I made a change in Cherwell and then showed the change in Cortex. It showed that it showed up. So I think that's pretty cool. And obviously, you wouldn't run Cortex and Cherwell in quite that way, but it does show that you don't have to change anything in your database, which means that all of this is a whole lot cheaper. Cortex is super simple to set up. It's basically 3 configuration options. It's where is the data, just a SQL Server connection string. How do you want to authenticate? We support SAML and OpenID Connect. SAML, basically the same way that Cherwell supports SAML. And that's the main reason that we supported SAML is because Cherwell supports SAML. And that's, in my estimation, the principal way that you all are probably authenticating to Cherwell. And then OpenID Connect, because a lot of the systems that provide SAML authentication also provide OpenID Connect authentication, and that's kind of the new way that things are moving to. So 2 options, whichever one you want to go with. SAML is definitely guaranteed to work. OpenID Connect is a little bit newer, and there might be a little more fiddly bits, technical term, just because your SAML configuration is designed to work with Cherwell, and the OpenID Connect configuration might not work exactly one-to-one with how your SAML setup is configured. We're getting into the weeds. Other ways that Cortex helps solve the issues of having to build everything yourself. It understands the relationships, and it accesses the attachments directly, so you can actually see and download the attachments. But enough talking, let's actually see what Cortex looks like. So I'm going to share my screen and show you kind of the home page of Cortex. Let me actually zoom in a little bit. Try to zoom in a little bit. There we go. So we get a little search box, and you can actually add some filters if you want. but I'm just going to type help. We'll just search for incidents with the word help. And it does use full text search. Nothing crazy fancy. It works more or less the way that Cherwell's full text search does. And I'm actually going to zoom back out again because the grid that it shows is, it has a lot of fields. This is the grid that was configured in Cherwell. We're detecting what was configured in Cherwell from the database and showing that on the screen. So I'm going to pick this one right here. John clearly needs help. He's needed help a few times, but this one he seems a little distraught about. So let's go look at that one. And you should see something that looks familiar to you here. This is basically the BizOp form. And again, we're detecting this from the database. So no hard coding. I didn't, pull up Cherwell and hand code the HTML to make this look the way it does. I'm reading the XML in the database and determining what to show on the screen based on that, which also means that things like relationships get picked up automatically. So this is in Cherwell, it shows up as a related item picker. Here it's just who's the customer who requested assistance, or in this case, it's a service request. And same thing with the form arrangement, the tabs. So in this case, there are no journals. There aren't any tasks. There aren't any related CIs. But John does have some previous incidents. So we have a customer history here. And that's a relationship. Similar incidents, same sort of thing. And John's open incidents, he's got 3, which they're not loading at the moment. But if we go back to overview, we can see all the details filled in here. Came in through phone, it's password reset request. He really wants it. It's pretty urgent. All the things you'd expect from a BizOp record showing on the BizOp form. We also have some tools specifically designed for exporting. So something similar to what Cherwell has, we do have an export CSV button here. And we're actually adding a few features in an upcoming version specifically optimized for export of specific records for the compliance use case and for the auditing use case. And attachments, I mentioned attachments. So this particular record does have an attachment, and you can see it just from this menu, and you click on that. And in this case, it's just a picture. But whatever this is an attachment of, you can pull it down right from the record. Now, in addition to all of the features that you see in the actual product, we're doing this for a lot of people, right? This is a product that we're building. So every company that we work with, we learn something new. It goes back into the product. Every company we work with might have a slightly different set of requirements that goes back into making the product better, right? Whereas if we're just building, a one-off either code base or set of reports for each company, we don't have the ability to do that. So basically, we're combining the collective knowledge of the entire Cherwell community into this product and delivering something that will work for everyone. So basically, I'm not blowing smoke when I say, if you're using Cherwell, if you have used Cherwell in the past, you can use Cortex. And you probably need Cortex because there is no escaping the fact that on December 31st, 2026, Cherwell is end of life. Cherwell is going away. After that, you'll definitely need something in order to get back to your data. If you're moving on to something else before that date, you'll need some way to get back to your data after you no longer have active Cherwell licenses. And in my mind, there's no better way than Cortex. Yes, there are technically other ways, and you're more than welcome to try them out. Um, but if you don't want to go down that road, or if you try going down that road and it starts getting too tricky, let us know. More than happy to have a conversation. More than happy to show you what Cortex looks like on your data. You can actually download a trial of Cortex from the links in the description below and try it out for yourself. And if that seems like an easier path than other options that you're exploring, um, great. We're happy to help you, and we're happy to chat next steps with you. There's information down in the description below, both on Cortex and how to get in touch with me, how to schedule some time with me to talk about how we can get Cortex running on your data. The demo site that I was demoing from is also linked down below. And if you're looking for more resources, if you have questions about Cortex and you want those answered, uh, there's always our documentation site, also linked down below. But every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, we run a Cortex users group. And you don't have to be actively using Cortex in order to come. It's an hour-long Zoom call, and you also don't need to stay for the entire hour. If you can only come for half an hour, 15 minutes, more than happy to have you, either to ask questions of me or the rest of the team, or other people who are using Cortex or thinking of using Cortex, or be a resource if you're, again, in any of those boats, thinking of using Cortex, actively using Cortex, and you feel like you have knowledge to share and want to um, answer other people's questions, you're more than welcome to attend as well. This is definitely a community oriented event, definitely a, a group of peers, right? Um, so we just host it, facilitate it, and it's really just setting aside some time to give you all an opportunity to talk to us and to talk to each other, um, and build back the community that Cherwell really had. That's one of my visions, is to see that community thriving again. Um, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. Um, so if you have questions about Cortex, plenty of ways to get those answered. Hope to see you at the Cortex users group, and certainly hope to see you on the channel. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button if you like this video, and we'll definitely see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.